Welcome to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard. I'm your host, Michelle Berard, founder and CEO of Urban Book Editor, and I'm really happy to share this hour with you, where we examine all those places where spirit meets life and the joys and challenges that may bring. You guys know I like to start by thanking Ms. Beverly Black and Tribe Family Channel for helping me create this space for us. Tribe Family Channel is home to an assortment of thought-provoking shows that explore life, spirit, business, and culture, including The Woman at the Well, hosted by Ms. Beverly Black herself. Somewhere in the Middle was born on Tribe Family Channel, and though we've grown onto our own platform, we are ever grateful and loyal to our roots. To paraphrase an African proverb, we are here only because we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Now, our last show was a replay of an interview with Kendall Weaver, investment and financial expert. You can connect with Kendall on social media. If you missed it, make sure you listen to the replay. You can find our complete show archives, including the February 26th show, at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. I also want to shout out Bruce George of the Genius is Common movement, which encourages all of us to embrace our inner genius and share it with the world. This is a really important message, and I hope you guys will share it with the youth. But it's not just for the kids. You guys know how I feel about this. Sometimes we adults even need to be reminded that the world needs our genius. Learn more about the Genius is Common movement at www.geniusiscommon.com. Now, we're making some changes to the schedule so that we can focus on other projects. And one of those projects is Shelter in Place, the live stream I'm doing with our friend of the show, Julia Black. So Somewhere in the Middle is now a monthly podcast. This week's guest shares some fascinating information I think you enjoy hearing about. Michael Kenneth Bell is author of the recently published book, The Occult Meaning of Masonry, Its Symbols and the Chakra System. He has been a member in good standing of Monarch Lodge number 73, Oakland, California, Prince Hall affiliated Free and Accepted Masons since 2015. He describes himself as a self-taught symbologist and has a personal library of close to 500 books as his personal testimonial to this fact. As a spiritualist and metaphysician, he has investigated the world's religions in search of the common threads of truth among them. Michael Bell is a proud, loving father of 3 beautiful children, one of which is his special needs son, who inspired his soon-to-be-released second book entitled Dana's Bart Book. In August of 2020, he also began his own publishing company, Pillar Publishing LLC, as a vehicle to empower not only his visions of self-publishing, but to help others tackle the hurdles of authorship. For more information, you can go to pillarbookpublishing.com. So I would like to welcome Michael Kenneth Bell to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard. Michael, how are you doing? Thank you for being on the show.
I'm doing fantastic, and I appreciate the invite and looking forward to a nice, smooth discussion.
Well, I start my interviews with 2 questions, and that's because I really think that they get to the heart of who we are. So if you're ready, I will ask my questions.
Fire away.
Michael Kenneth Bell, who are you and how did you become who you are today?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Who am I? Well, according to my Instagram profile, I am who I think I am. But actually, who I am, for anybody, that's a diverse question. I'm a father, a husband, a brother, a friend, and to some, I'm obviously an enemy. You know, that's just life. But who I am, I would say that I believe I was born at a unique and beautiful time to be alive, even with everything going on. I feel like this is my time to be alive. So who I am is actually tied in with the times. We all experienced the chaos of the coronavirus and the whole world being placed on quarantine and lockdown. But I like to think that even in the midst of all the chaos, there was opportunity. And for me, one of my little constant prayers that I threw out to God and the universe was, if I only had the time, I would write a book. And I said this constantly, it's over and over. I work all these hours. If I had the time, I would write a book. Well, guess what? God and the universe conspired to say, you know what? I'm going to shut everything down so you can write your book. And
Wow.
I did just that. I took advantage of the chaos like everybody else when they announced in March that it was quarantined and nobody's moving, no work. I was like everybody else. I panicked a little bit. Worried about money, what I'm gonna do, this and that. And then after maybe 48 hours, I said, I'm gonna start writing my book. And
Awesome.
so I like to think that who I am is I am a spirit inhabiting the body, animating this body. And so that's who I am. And what was the second question again?
How did you become who you are today?
Oh, wow. You know, that's one of those questions. A friend of mine asked me recently, what would I change in my life if I had it to do over again? Now, in the past, when asked that question, I would always say, I would go back to junior high and uh, I would invest in Microsoft. And, you know, I always had these questions about, I would always had these ideas of what I would do differently. But to be honest, I've recently realized that I'm this perfectly made gumbo. All these spices and seasonings, everything you throw in there, I actually am who I am. So what made me who I am? A lot of trials and diversity. Um, I've always been studious and well read. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. So my mother, her thing was we read the Bible for an hour a night, and not a lot of secular things, but I was always welcome to buy me a book. That's so. I think it's ironic because at a very young age, I want to say in the fifth grade, I entered a writing contest, and I wrote a short story, and I came in first place. And my fifth grade teacher said, "Mr. Bell, one day you are going to be an incredible writer." And I told her, "No, I'm going to be a mechanic. I'm going to fix cars." And then you look at me now, I have a huge library in my bedroom, which I'm sure annoys my wife, but I have a huge library. I've wrote a book and I have more coming, started my own publishing company. And I am the last person you want to call to work on your car. I am, it's just amazing to me how life works out. But yes, what got me here today, um, at some point in my life, I learned to draw from within. I found my strength and my motivation from within. And anybody that knows me, that defines who I am. Not that I don't have friends, and people need people.
Hmm.
So I am not a self-made man, but I will never say that I am the I'm not a product of all the good. I'm a product of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I just found ways to transmute that and turn those lessons into blessings. That's about the best way I can put it.
Wow. So you have said a lot. So I want to unpack some of this here.
Sure.
Because sometimes people say stuff and they don't even realize sometimes what they're saying. You said, first, you said, I am who I think I am.
Mhm.
And that sounds almost more like a philosophy than anything else.
Mhm.
Why don't you give us a little more explanation of what you mean by that?
Well, I sincerely, I don't even want to say believe. I was going to say believe. I am of the knowing that thoughts are things, and that we actively shape our reality by the thoughts that drift through our head. Now, all too often, a lot of us, myself included, we have this little negative voice that kind of always whispers, you know, you can't do that. It won't happen that way. It won't be that easy. So my focus, especially later in my life, I'm 47 years young. So
Mhm.
I reached a point in life where I kind of muted that little negative voice. And so the thoughts that become things in my life are the things that I can do, what I am. Very little of what I will be or what I can be or what I hope to be. Um, I strive to manifest what I am. And by that, um, what I read, you are what you eat. So
Mm.
I try to take in not just healthy food, but healthy thoughts, healthy words, and healthy people.
Now, that's got to be challenging, taking in healthy thoughts with everything that's going on right now.
And that's why I said, make no mistake, everybody's been touched by coronavirus. Everybody. Everybody's been impacted. But I strive for the understanding that there is opportunity in chaos. At the center of the storm, it sounds like a cliche, but literally this is like a fact that at the center of a cyclone, it's utterly calm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to find myself in that center point, not on the edge getting tossed around, but I try to find my personal center point, and I do my best to allow those around me to find theirs. I have a very strong personality, so I've learned over the years. I try to let those around me be themselves, and that's kind of hard when you're motivated. You know what you want. You know what you want to run. You know, when you're that kind of person, you tend to want to orchestrate and place everybody in where they need to be, like chess pieces. But I'm learning that, especially in terms of love, it is, if it's unconditional, then that person or those things, whatever it is you love, it's allowed to be what it is, because that's the nature of unconditional love. So in my life, I've just learned to do my best. To put it simply, I've learned to change the world by focusing on only changing myself. I don't attempt to, even my children. I have lots of advice, or they'll tell you I have lots of advice. But hey, all the time, my daughter, she doesn't want to do her homework. Hey, daddy graduated from the 6th grade already. So if you're okay with, what you got going on, knock yourself out. I graduated already. I did that. So, and that's a part of my philosophy as I get older. And again, like you said, what I say, I'm very philosophical, and maybe that's a part of me being such of a reader, or possibly it's a sign of the wisdom of my reach through my years of life. But yeah, I've just reached a point that I realize it makes no sense to try and change people. The best thing you can do is change yourself, because everybody's watching.
Right.
So it's like when we were growing up. I don't want to know. I want to tell your age. Like I said, I told mine. But when I was younger, it was do as I say, not as I do.
And children were seen and not heard.
Exactly. So now my thing is, you can watch me, do what I do. You can listen, but you're going to see that I'm going to talk what I walk.
Right.
And so, and that's another thing I stress, especially to my children, the difference between hearing and listening. You hear with your ears, but you listen with your mind. So listen to what I'm saying and watch what I'm doing. And I just hope that it works out for you in the end. And so that's how I live my life with family and friends, is just watch me work. And I try to be a leader. I try to lead from the front. So if I'm going to lead by example, I'll let that do the talking, even though I can talk a lot personally. But I try to let my actions be the most outspoken part of me.
Right. So leading by example. Well, and I think that's really important for kids in particular.
Yes.
I mean, I know I don't want my kids to emulate everything that I am, that's for sure, because they are better than me in every single way. But but I think that kids pick up so much from us.
They do. And I know me, I'm surprised at what they do pick up, because sometimes you think it's this one thing, and then you hear your 3-year-old. I would hear my 3-year-old son saying my favorite cuss word. You think it's all these other things you're pumping in, but they're watching and they're listening. And so those are just reminders for myself, to be more aware of self, and to be aware of what I put out there. But I'm of the sincere belief that my children are here for me. I'm not here for them. I learn more from them. I mean, I give them the benefit of my experience in life, but I'm really just here for don't do that. Watch out for this. They teach me about life. You know, some of the solemn and sincere questions. My son is my son is special needs, and I sincerely believe that he's here for me. So on some of my toughest days, you know, I put my best face on. I work a lot of hours, and I come home and I have my game face on. You know, I'm unstoppable. I'm a machine. He'll just say, "Hey, Dad, can I have a hug? Let me give you a hug."
Oh.
And that melts it all away. So I'm appreciative for the fact that they are in my life. I'll be sincere about that.
Yeah, I believe children are a blessing to us in a variety of ways. And I'm a
Right.
little bit older than you, so I'm going to tell you something that maybe you should not know yet, but it was actually really funny to me.
Uh,
All those things that you say over and over again, your little sayings and whatnot, your kids pick up on that too. And so I didn't really realize the extent of that until, all my kids are college age and older now. And they were home for the holidays, and I'm overhearing them having a conversation downstairs about, how mom always said blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, they were listening this whole time.
yeah. You know, I'm a product of that. And that's why my uncles, my family's from down south, so they had a lot of sayings. My mom, my uncles, my dad. And so I purposely repeat certain things over and over. What I just said about you hear with your ears, but you listen with your mind.
Mm-hmm.
If my girls asleep, my son's right here listening. If I start that off, if I say you hear with I expect them to finish that. You hear with your ear, you listen with your mind. Okay, are you listening to me? Or are you hearing me? I'm
Right.
listening to you, Dad. So I'm a product of that, because when I got into my 20s, it seemed like all I heard over and over was everything my mom told me, everything my uncle said. But at the time I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, so it was haunting me. It was like torturing me. But I was still appreciative of the fact that even though I didn't listen when I got it, it was in my head and played on repeat. And
Yeah.
at this point in life, I got it. So
Yeah.
that's why I have my own little catchphrases, and I repeat it over and like now. I don't whip my kids. I say, "Oh, come here. I'm gonna talk you to death," and it has
Exactly.
the same effect. It has the same effect. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk you to death. Sit down, let's talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I definitely, mine's right now. My daughters, I have twin daughters. They're
Mm-hmm.
14, and no, I'm sorry, my son is 14. Twin daughters that are 11,
Okay.
and so I know that they're fastly approaching that age where they definitely don't want to talk to the old man. But I'm just looking forward to watching the fruits of my labors. I put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned before that we are living in exciting times. I think we're living in interesting and exciting times, rather like the Chinese proverb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that in the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. What, besides writing a book, is so opportunistic for people right now?
You know, I'll say this. We don't realize it, but the life that we live down here, it's very what's the word? Polarity. There's a charged polarity. So where we live, that's why a lot of the movies and mythologies and stuff that we deal with in life, they're very charged. It's either good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's either happy or sad. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
very polarized to one end or the other. And so what we don't realize is that is the nature of life. Just like the opposite of life is death. And as kids, when we're younger, we don't think about the possibility of, matter of fact, death is for old people. We're going to live forever, you know, not going to touch me. You're young, you wake up, bruises and aches disappear. But that is the polarity. So there's opposites.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you find an extreme on the right hand, whatever that extreme is on the left hand is going to be the total opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at it as, what am I going to focus on? Am I going to focus on all the bad? Am I just going to be mad at Donald Trump forever? Or am I going to focus on something good, something positive? Because if thoughts are things, whatever I'm thinking about, that's what's going to manifest in my life. So
Right.
for me, like you said, okay, I wrote a book, and writing a book doesn't make you a rock star, definitely doesn't make you a millionaire. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're only exciting to other book readers, other nerds. So it's not like it's instant fame, but for me, it was a milestone and it motivated me. So not only did I write a book, I actually started my own publishing company.
Mm-hmm.
And so the opportunity for me was to adjust my thinking,
Okay.
because when they first announced, I think it was March 11th, when they said out here in California, they said everything was shut down. I thought to myself, nothing but bad. This is the end of the world. This is it. This is Armageddon. The trumpet's about to blow in the heavens, and the archangels will come out, and it's over. But um, I took a moment to step back, and I tried to find some kind of opportunity, something I can do to make this positive. Because if you feed off negativity and fear, you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your stomach get those metal butterflies, and you get nervous and you can't sleep, and believe it or not, all these things wear down your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic. So it was a matter of me adjusting my stinking thinking. So that was the first opportunity that came my way,
Mm-hmm.
was recognizing that, hey, let me feed on something else. And it's not so much that I ignored what was going on around me, but I chose what I wanted to focus on. And
Right.
that was, to be honest, the book I wrote, I had been researching for it for like 5+ years. And at the time, I didn't know it, but other authors have told me since that you can spend 30 years researching for a book and never write a page.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling that coming. I felt like, okay, let me just read this one more book. Let me do this. I'm just gonna research this one more thing before I write my book. And so for me, the prospect of a global pandemic helped me to get my priorities in order. What's important? Family and writing my book,
I
in that
like
order.
it.
In
I
that
like
order.
it.
So for me, the opportunity was to readjust and rearrange my thought process, get my
Mm-hmm.
priorities together, and then don't talk about it, be about it. Because if you ask, people will ask me all the time, man, what you doing today? Oh, researching from a book. What you doing? What you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm gonna be doing some research for my book. I was constantly saying that, and it got
Mm-hmm.
to the point that certain family and friends, they would see me and say, "How many books you wrote so far?" That was like an inside joke. So for me, it just helped me to rearrange
Mm-hmm.
and get focused. And I'll say it again, even with everything bad that has happened, it was the best thing that could have happened for me, because it
Right.
got me focused. And again, like I said, I finished this book, and actually, I have like 3 more books that I'm going to be releasing soon. So for me, it was a motivator. It was a motivator.
That's awesome. So, for those who are just tuning in, this is Michelle Barard, Somewhere in the Middle. And we have author Michael Kenneth Bell with us. And he's talking, well, about who he is, how he got to be who he is today, and about writing. And we're going to ask about his book. So, Michael, you've written a book. It's called The Occult Meaning of Masonry, Its Symbols, and the Chakra System.
Yes.
That title alone has so much in it. And I think people really need to kind of dig into this. The occult meaning of Masonry. Of course, there are all kinds of conspiracies about the Masons.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask if you get into that a little bit. I'm asking about the symbols. So it's just referring to the symbols of Masonry specifically. And then is it about how that ties to the chakra system? So I really want to know.
No, you believe it or not, you hit every nail right on the head. And
Whoa.
And I did my best to address some of those things with the title and the cover of my book, because I labored over the title. We're in the age of woke. Right now everybody's woke. Stay woke, people sleeping. This is We're in the age of woke. We're in the age of consciousness and awareness and heightened spirituality. And so I labored over the title, and I realized that I wanted the title of this book to reflect what was inside, which is why it's a mouthful. Now, just on the cover alone, the occult meaning of Masonry. Now, most people hear the word occult and they say that's evil.
Yes,
occult means evil. My granny used to tell me about that. The truth of the matter is, human beings actually have very short memories. And words, we just said thoughts are things. Well, words, if you jumble up the letters that spell words, it also spells sword. Words are a sword, like a double-edged sword. It can cut you coming and going. So just as we tell our kids don't run with knives and, be careful with knives, you have to be careful with your words. Now, I am huge on etymology, which is the study of the origin of words. And the word occult actually became synonymous with bad and evil like 1930. So prior to that, the word occult simply meant something that was hidden in plain sight. That's all it meant. Because in the word itself, you have OCC, which is ocular, which is the eyes. Eyes mean to see. And then you have cult, which is short for culture. So there's a hidden culture that most are unaware of. And believe it or not, this hidden knowledge, this hidden culture is only disguised by words. And so something struck me that you can, in a grand sense of things, you can bar yourself from your spiritual temple just by words alone. Sometimes, especially in the day, today, you can have a discussion with somebody, and whether you say all lives matter or Black lives matter, that will make someone shut down on you or go off on you. Just those words alone. And most don't even examine those words. I mean, because those words, and again, we're talking about the cover of my book still.
Right.
Words are every time you read a word or hear a word, you see it in your mind. It has a symbol. If I said chair, you would picture a chair in your mind. So that chair is a symbol. Whether it's your favorite chair, you're relaxing in at home, whether it's your work chair or the dining room table chair. So the thing about words and symbols is they impact every aspect of our life. And so my purpose for my book, number one, I wanted to get the correct meaning of certain words. And I wanted to show the interconnectedness. My understanding of good and evil is just like I said about coronavirus and the pandemic. You have good over here, you have bad over there, and then you find your personal understanding of what's in between. Because we eat hamburgers out here, you go to India, the cow is sacred. Right. And if you talk about eating some beef, you might just get hung or stabbed or whatever they do to people who eat sacred things, right? So we tend to, like I said in the beginning, we have these short memories as a people. So we tend to throw blankets over things. So I gave it that title because that's what I deal with at the very beginning of the book, is the meaning of that word, and then what has been occulted, what has been hidden from you, which is the concepts of Freemasonry. Because like you said, there's so many conspiracy theories. I'll be honest, myself included, when I was in my early 40s when I became a Mason. I think I've been a Mason almost 7 years now. So I was maybe 39, 40 when I got introduced to it. And my thoughts of Freemasonry, to be honest, I joke about it all the time. It was like Montgomery Burns type people from The Simpsons,
Yeah.
excellent. They sit up somewhere and they have these nefarious, and they plot on how to take over the world, and all these things. But to be honest, nothing could be further from the truth. Now, I'm not going to say those people don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We all know they exist,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not the definition, the meaning, or the purpose of Freemasonry. And what Freemasonry is, it is a timeless, ancient repository of symbolic information.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this: the average member of a Masonic lodge does not even know what I just said out of my mouth. That's how occulted it is. Yeah. We participate every day. We participate in rituals that we have no idea of. Even getting up and going to work.
Right.
Monday through Friday is a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday being the day of worship, that constitutes a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night turn up. Everybody know about that. I worked all week. I'm gonna turn up for show Friday. I'm going to enjoy them. These are rituals. These are things that we participate in, and to be honest, we give it no thought. And so Masonry revolving around symbols, believe it or not, those symbols merely reflect you as an individual, not a group,
Mm-hmm.
just you. It's very personal. Now, it can apply across the board, but just like we spoke on chairs just a moment ago, if I said the word chair, I'm pretty sure the picture that popped in my head is not the picture that popped up in yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I strove to do with this book is show the interconnectedness between these symbols. That even though in your mind you pictured a plush leather recliner, purple with sparkly glitter on it, and I pictured a metal no-nonsense chair, it's still just a chair. And the chair, even though it has personal meaning to each of us, it is still just a chair. And so, again, I chose the title of my book because after I became a Mason, I was introduced to the chakras, the chakra system, like in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And I was young. I've always been a reader, always interested in different things, but I saw nothing important about it. But it was introduced to me, and it never left me. And so when I became a Master Mason, I felt like there was more. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was heavily into, now we call it metaphysics.
Mm-hmm.
They call it New Age. But these are all just titles and words. This stuff has been around since the beginning of time, because man, we spoke in symbols before we even used words.
Right.
Even in the Bible, Jesus was speaking to his disciples. They asked him a question. He picked up a stick, got down on one knee, and he began drawing symbols in the ground. So we respond to symbols, believe it or not. You drive home from work. Most people don't know this, but when you get in your car and start driving, you actually go to, I believe it's beta in your mind. It's like
Mm-hmm.
beta consciousness. You actually go into a trance. That's how you can drive home thinking about dinner, that argument you're about to have with your spouse. You can think about all these things, and then you look up and you're in your driveway. Well,
Right.
how'd that happen? Because your subconscious mind took over while your conscious mind was thinking about other things, and you responded to all the symbols that
Mm-hmm.
get you to and from work. You obeyed the speed limit. You saw the cones that said traffic over here, this lane closed. So believe it or not, we don't live in a civilization. We live in a symbolization. Everything
Wow.
revolves around symbols. Everything. Stop, go, everything. And we're bombarded by these symbols. So for me, once I became a Mason, I instantly fell in love, instantly. And so I realized that these symbols that most people assume are Masonic, they are universal birthrights, to be honest. So the book I wrote, even if you're not a Mason, you can read it. I believe I did a very good job of writing a
Mm-hmm.
book that speaks to each reader on their level. Because to be honest, a lot of Master Masons have said the chakra system doesn't have anything to do with Masonry. It's been non-Masons that bought my book.
Interesting.
It varied, and that kind of caught my attention because I thought I was writing for my little niche. I thought I was writing it from my crowd. I thought I was talking to Eskimos about ice water. That's what I thought.
So I'm going to ask you then. So for people who don't know,
Mhm.
how do you get into Masonry? If you want to be a Mason, what, does somebody have to invite you to a meeting? Yeah. How does that work?
You're very close. Masons have a saying: to be one, you have to know one. So, and especially in my case, I had a coworker, Khalil Rivers. We talked about everything. I was intrigued by him because he was one of the few people I could talk to about anything. Most people have their limits. We and him, we talk about aliens, we talk about pyramids in Egypt, we talked about across the board, sports, it didn't matter. And so he told me that he actually, I thought that a lot of the Masonic symbols, it was occulted to me too. I paid no attention. He was a frater. He was in a college fraternity. So on his desk at work, he had a bunch of alumni. He went to Grambling. So he had a bunch of his alumni stuff. And my mind's eye kind of glossed over all of it. But through the course of our conversations, I kind of started paying attention to some of the symbols that he had on his desk and on the back of his car. And he had the Masonic square and compass on the back of his car. And so I asked him a question like, "Are you a Mason?" He was like, "Yeah." And to be honest, I said, "Man, I didn't know there were Black Masons. I kind of thought that was like an old white guys club." And and he told me, "Well, you asked the question, I'll tell you a little more." And so as we got to talking, I actually expressed my interest, like, "Man, how do you become a Mason?" And that's how you have to, if you know someone. Now, if you don't know anyone personally, and if you're that motivated, you can just contact the Masonic Grand Lodge in your state, and the process will be a little slower because the person that that you speak on, they actually have to vouch for you. So it is a process. It is a process. But again, my personal understanding of Masonry is that it is actually a birthright to humanity because we live in this symbolization. And so I really believe that things come to us when either we're ready for it or we're thirsting for it. Because sometimes they come to you a little too soon and you're just not ready. You're just hungry for it. But
Right.
you got to whet your appetite a little more. So for me, it was a love affair. And that's what motivated this book.
So what is it that you fell in love with Masonry?
For me, it was a deeper understanding of the symbolic nature of life. And that's what I tried to put in this book. Most of us here in America, this is a Christian nation. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't Muslim Americans, there aren't Buddhist Americans, but okay, you know what? Let me take that back. Even as a Christian nation, it doesn't matter because let me be honest, as a Mason, doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, so long as you believe in a God.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yes. And so that kind of threw me off. That also, I figured as a Christian nation, I grew up with Jehovah's Witness, but no, the thing is, the same story is told worldwide. Doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist. Actually, there's a famous Masonic saying that as a Mason, you should be able to walk into any temple or shrine and worship. And a lot of people see the differences, but the similarities are there also. And the similarities all exist in symbols. I'll tell you real quickly. Did you know that Jehovah, Yahweh of the Bible, he has 72 names?
Yes.
7 plus 2 is 9. Buddha has 108 names. 1 plus 8 is 9. Allah has 99 names. 9 plus 9 is 18. So that's a symbol that exists across what you would think are totally different religious beliefs, religious systems, but that symbolic number 9 is there across the board. So whatever you perceive as differences, we know that all of their names resonate to the number 9. All these deities The number 9. Buddha was born in the cave on December 25th. Mithras was born in the cave on December 25th. Jesus Christ was born in a cave on December 25th. Now, some people hear these things and they say, blasphemy. No, that is the beauty. That's not blasphemy, that's beauty. Because I personally, I would be afraid to revere or worship or commune with the God that didn't have 1,000 different doors that lead to him or her. Let me be honest and say, or her, because my personal belief is that God is a creator. So only creators I know in my life are women. But however, each individual to each their own. But I just said that to say that is what intrigued me about Freemasonry, is when all this reading that I did, it all came together in a very unexpected way.
Right.
And again, that leads back to my motivation for writing my book, because I had read all these different topics that I thought were in different rooms. They were different, they were not connected. And then to find out that they're all connected through symbols, that's what led to me tying it into the chakra system. Because like I said, a lot of people still tell me Freemasonry has nothing to do with the chakra system. But if I just explain that Masonry is a system of symbols, a beautiful system of symbols, the chakras are referred to as the chakra system. Any system can be correlated.
Right.
Any system. We know this because everything in life is based off the human body, which is a system. Right. Shirts, chairs, cane, anything with the lever
computers. On it. Computers are based on your brain.
On your brain. And we're all trying to duplicate, but these are systems. The human body is a system that we took and applied to other systems. Right. And so the chakra system, real briefly, I could go on forever because. Well,
let's pause for a second and let people know where they are.
Okay.
So if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard, and I have author Michael Kenneth Bell with me, and he is talking about his book, The Occult Meaning of Masonry, Its Symbols, and the Chakra System. So, Michael, I think you were about to start talking about maybe the chakra alignment and some of the symbols associated and how that's replicated, because that's the body. The body is an electrochemical system.
Yes.
And we replicate it in other parts of our lives, even from making tools, the things that we use for our bodies, like shirts you mentioned chairs. I mentioned the computer, replicating the brain. Give us more information about that.
Well, the thing is, the chakra system does not require your belief. We're aware of it, but in different ways. The chakra system is it's an energy system. The word is metaphysical, which meta means it's beyond the physical. You can't just touch it with your fingers, but we know it exists. So the thing about the chakra system is there are 7 major chakras. The number goes through the roof from there, but you have 7 major chakras. You have the root chakra, which represents your foundation. And it's the color red, believe it or not. And so we were just talking about religious beliefs. I'm gonna be brief as possible as I talk about this. We have the color red. Now, the root chakra is your foundation, a lot of positive things, but we talked about polarity earlier either. So anywhere you have anything positive, you have something negative. Now, believe it or not, have you ever wondered why Satan, the devil, isn't all red?
Hadn't considered it. Why?
Never considered it. Never considered it. Well, the Satan, the devil is in all red. Believe it or not, the root chakra is all red. So if you have a ladder where red is the lowest color, and then you have all the way at the top of that ladder, you have purple, which is a higher color. Red is actually synonymous with being at the ground level. You're at the ground floor. Now, if your root chakra, which is called Muladhara, if you're functioning properly and you're well balanced, it's just a rung on the ladder. But if you're out of whack, you could be trapped in your own personal hell. And in that personal hell, it's going to be all red. And so a lot of people don't realize that what we have in English. English is a language made up of German, Dutch, several different
French.
African dialects. English is a hodgepodge. It's a gumbo. It's a stew. Well, the devil, if you spell it backwards, it's lived. I'm of the personal believer that we become our own personal devil when we're not in accordance, when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. Our life turn. We always say it. My life is a living hell. We generally, now I'm not saying there's always room for the unexpected, but generally we brought it on ourselves. And usually, if we catch it in time, we can correct it and we escape that personal hell. Now, again, I'm speaking metaphysically. I'm not speaking in a literal sense. And then you have the next chakra up from Muladhara is your sacral chakra, which is located like between your belly button and your genitalia. And that is the color orange. Now, if you notice, I went red, orange. Most people know Roy G. Biv. I know I do. Have you ever heard of Roy G. Biv?
No.
Yes, you have.
Have I?
Roy G. Biv is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Oh, okay.
So that's the acronym for the colors of the rainbow, which actually happen to be the colors of your chakra system. Now, we were talking religion too. I'm kind of jumping around, but I want to show the interconnectedness. In the Bible, after the flood, God said, I'm going to give you this one symbol so you can see this symbol and know that I will never destroy mankind again. That symbol was a rainbow. The rainbow is indicative and synonymous with your chakra system. So here we have a physical phenomenon of a rainbow. We have this metaphysical phenomenon of the chakra system. And then we have this religious system known as the Bible that says the rainbow serves as a symbol of not destruction, but life. And so that's what the chakra system is. And so from orange, you go to yellow. Now, yellow, I'll say this, we all know this from the Wizard of Oz, from the Wiz, the yellow brick road. It takes you where you're trying to go, right?
Yep.
You can ease on down that yellow brick road. Well, it's similar with and it's amazing to me, the usage of color in movies and cinema, it is directly in step with the chakra system. Yep, the yellow chakra is the solar plexus chakra, and it is basically a highway. It will take you wherever you're trying to go. And at this point, usually with that chakra, you're usually you go through a chakra every year. Every 7 years, you go through a chakra.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, from birth to age 7, you are essentially in your root chakra. Now, while you're in your root, you climb those 7 years, you're going through all colors, but you're dealing primarily with your foundation.
The root chakra in this case, what we're talking about with the root chakra here is immediate needs.
Exactly. So you think about it, from 0 to 7, you're really only focused on your survival, protection. This is what we provide our children during those years, 0 to 7.
Eating, sleeping, playing,
survival, stability or instability, whatever it is that but this is what the first 7 years of our life is centered around. And then you look at the next 7, which would be 8 to 14. That is the age of discovering self. Most don't like to admit it, but it's also age of awareness of sexuality. And remember, I said previously that the sacral chakra is between the belly button and the genitalia. So all these things correspond in our life. And if you're watching a movie and the lead character has on orange and she's a sensual person, that is associated with the sacral chakra. I mean, these things, and we know this subconsciously. The same way I said, Roy G. Biv, and you said, no, I don't. But we do. We just might know it by a different name, but we have the same reason why most don't realize it. All fast food restaurants generally have the colors red and orange and yellow in them.
Right.
Because these colors on your physical body is from basically just it's your stomach on down. It's designed to appeal to your gut. That's why
Mm.
McDonald's is red and yellow. That's why Chick-fil-A is red. That's, it's designed to appeal to your gut.
Mhm.
Because if McDonald's was purple and gold, you probably wouldn't crave it as much, because those are higher aspects on the color chart. And these things correspond. We just know them. We know them almost intuitively, I should say.
Mhm.
So much of life, of symbols, are tied into color. And so for me, again, I just want to say, I wrote this book from a Masonic perspective, but I also put it in terms of life. And so we see these things in life. Like I said, right now, this is the age of woke. A lot of people they'll tell you, I'm conscious, I'm woke, I'm aware, I know what's going on. I know about higher self. These things have actually become buzzwords, which
Right.
before only gurus and, people in different circles spoke on these things.
Mhm.
So my only purpose was to bring these lofty principles down to a level of understanding. So what I do is, in my book, like I said, I managed to write it to speak to people on different levels, but I'm a reader. So I gave out every book I could think of, because even if you're not uh, conversant on these topics, but like we said earlier, you might be thirsty for something but not quite ready for it. So my thing is, I didn't want to write a book that you could come to and get my opinion. I wrote this book, I wanted it to appeal to people on different levels, because you can find yourself at a point in life where you want something that you have no idea about. And I found that to be the case with the people who have purchased my book. But the beauty of it is, I list not just a bibliography, but a suggested reading. So I've had a lot of people who bought my book, and in it I have my email in it. I'm very approachable.
Mhm.
And again, I wrote it for what I initially suspected to be a small crowd. I've sold almost 200 copies.
Wow.
That blew me exactly. I wasn't prepared. I really thought that my book would sit on the shelf somewhere for a couple hundred years, and maybe someday somebody would blow dust off of it and say, hey, this is a pretty good book. I was blown away by the initial response. So, but I've had a lot of people that have messaged me back, and they've said, uh, I'm starting to get the books you recommended, because my book is not a shortcut,
Okay.
because a shortcut would be my way.
Right.
That would be me saying, come on, go to where I went, follow
Mhm.
me. And most don't realize it, but we're at the beginning of the age of Aquarius. We're not quite there yet, but it's
Mhm.
coming. Pisces, which is the age we just left, for the last 2,000 years, was the Piscean age. Pisces is symbolized by the feet. The feet, we know that the bottom of our feet is the soul.
Mhm.
So Pisces is a believer. Pisces represents faith. So it makes sense to me that we would get these powerful religions within the last 2,000 years. But being a believer, the feet follow where the head go, and the feet don't know, it just follow. So
Oh.
you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the feet have no idea the direction. The head know where we're going. The feet just follow. So we found ourselves the last 2,000 years in the Piscean age. We were just believers.
Mhm.
But we find ourselves now on the verge of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is the knower. A knower is not satisfied with belief. A knower has to know for self. And so a lot of the conflict that we see in life right now is because it's a clash of these two ages, where we were all, especially us, the older you are, I believe, the harder it is, because we find ourselves, I was raised by believers, true believers. But then now here it is, I'm on this cusp, this edge of knowing, where I have to know for myself. And so
Mhm.
those two kind of conflict. But what I always say, I was speaking to a friend of mine recently, and I reminded him that in the Bible, it's slipping my head now, but there's a verse where it says, faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So you can have faith, you can believe, but you better be working too. You better, and the work that I describe is knowing for yourself.
Mm.
There's a real brief, there's a saying, it's called the hero's journey. We see this in every movie, from Lord of the Rings, any movie you see that's
Star
kind of,
Wars is the one that Joseph Campbell talked about.
okay, see, oh my goodness, Joseph Campbell.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
okay. So the hero's journey. Now, most people who are aware of it, the hero starts his journey, let's say at 12 o'clock, at midnight, no, let's say noon. Let's say he starts it at noon, and he goes in this circle and he has these adventures. Well, the thing about the hero's journey is, number one, the hero is learning about himself.
Yes.
He's traveling, he's learning, he's experiencing the world, but it's through the hero's lens. But the beauty of the hero's journey is, once you get back around that clock, you're back where you started. The thing is, the world hasn't changed, you have. Nothing has changed, just you and how you perceive the world. So this is where we are right now. And so my thing is, I'm a perpetual student. I'm no one's master teacher. I like to think of myself as a student that helps other students with their homework. That is who and what I am. I keep good notes, and that's what I share. I have an odd and peculiar view of life. I know it is, but odd doesn't mean bad, just means different. So the mere fact that I connected Masonry and the Chakra System, when, like I told you, I've had Master Masons tell me the two have nothing to do with each other, and I giggle. I love it, and I say, "You got a minute? You want to talk?" But I believe that that's what we need, because a lot of life, coming from the age of belief, a lot of things we know we've compartmentalized. We've placed. I was just telling a friend at work, we think that what you do at work has nothing to do with what you do at home. We think all these things are separate. But life, if you were an eagle up in the sky and you look down, there's no line that separates California from Nevada. That's only on the map.
Right.
Life is life, and you have to find balance throughout your life. So we tend to compartmentalize. Man, I'm great at work. Now, my home life might be, subpar, but work I got down pat. But then you wonder why you're not succeeding at work, because you have to find balance across the board. We think of these things as being separated in different rooms. They don't even talk to each other, but it's all interconnected. And so, because of my angle and how I look at life, I find these connections. And so that's basically what I'll be doing is any book I write, it'll be showing a different angle, because there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's been discussed.
Right.
So let's find some different ways to discuss the same things, And real briefly, I know we're running short on time. The next book I'm going to release is my son's book.
Okay.
My son has special needs, and he loves anything that moves. Now imagine the dichotomy. I just wrote a book called The Occult Meaning of Masonry. My next book is going to be a kid's book. And my son loves anything that moves. Bus, BART. We out here, we have the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is like the subway system. He loves anything, cars, trucks, anything that moves. And so over the years, he's 14 now. Over the years, we've written his main thing is the BART, and we took a bunch of pictures. So I'm releasing the book about him overcoming his diversities and doing the thing that he loves, which is riding the BART.
That's awesome.
So I'm just saying that to show that we think that life follows a pattern of A, then B, then C, but it's actually very zigzag. It's A, W, Q, P, C, Z. It's not going to follow that orderly pattern. And so I just strive to always find my opportunity within the chaos.
I think that's awesome. Well, Michael, how can people get in touch with you? How can they get your book?
Oh, okay. Now, thank you. Now, for the book, pillarbookpublishing.com. You can find it there. That's my website. Pillar Publishing is my company. On Instagram, Pillar Publishing LLC. It is the same on Twitter, Pillar Publishing LLC, and the same on Facebook, Pillar Publishing LLC. But again, my website is pillarbookpublishing.com. You can message me personally on Facebook, Michael Bell, of course, and I have this same face. And I think I'm holding a book in my profile picture right now. I believe I am. But yeah, that's where it is. And I'm very flexible. You can message me. We can work out whatever. If you're interested in the book, just contact me. I appreciate the interest. So that's the best ways to catch me. And you can find me across any social medium. On the LinkedIn, it's Pillar Publishing. It's the same. So you can catch me across any medium. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you guys heard that. You can pick up The Occult Meaning of Masonry, Its Symbols, and the Chakra System at pillarbookpublishing.com. You can also connect with Michael Kenneth Bell at pillarbookpublishing.com or on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Pillar Publishing LLC.
Yes.
Michael, thank you so much for appearing on Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard.
Thank you for making it painless. Thank you. Thank you. It was like talking with an old friend.
Well, that's our show this month, guys. You can reach out to me online at urbanbookeditor.com or michelleberard.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Urban Book Editor. Send me a note. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send in some topics you'd like us to cover on the show. Make sure you tune into the show on April 23rd when my guest will be author Keisha Williams. You can find us on Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. And don't forget to tune in to Julia Black and Me live on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern for the Shelter in Place live stream at https://rebrand.ly/shelter-in-place live stream. That's rebrand.ly/shelter-in-place live stream. Let's continue the conversation. You guys be good, stay mindful, and remain prayerful. Peace and blessings, y'all.